Hello world, I am Curtis Simpson, and this is Objectives Typography News number 60. Today is Saturday, June 27th, 2026. We're doing back-to-back episodes. Today was day 2 of Typographics 2026, and I was planning to tell you, sometimes I start out the episodes and I say, go watch this instead of me, because there's something that's so good that I just think you should add me to watch later, add Typography News to watch later, and go watch this other thing instead. I was planning to tell you to go watch the Emily Oberlin closing presentation at Typographics 2026, but I'll show you in a second. As I was pulling it up to get a timestamp on it to show you, the video is unavailable. It was blocked due to acclaimed content by NBC Universal, and I already know what it is, and I thought about it during the live stream. I'm glad they didn't cut it off midstream. But the presentation was a lot about her work with Saturday Night Live, and she played 30 years worth of introductions, and she only did, the opening sequence. She only did like less than 10 seconds of each opening sequence, but it was enough that NBC picked it up. And of course, you can play only a few seconds of something, and YouTube's I don't know if it's the algorithm, YouTube's system will pick that up and claim it. And now it's up to NBC Universal to either release it, or Typographics is going to have to cut out a very large chunk of the presentation, and it was definitely the most interesting one. So Typographics 2026 conference day 2 is linked in the description. Not sponsored. Hopefully it comes back. If it does, go watch that. Hands down, skip to the end, go watch Emily Oberman if you're not going to watch anything else. But today we are going to go over Glyphs 4 was announced. I pointed that out in the last episode, but I'm going to give you a link and show you where you can find out more information about that, because it's not yet on the website, not yet on their, they don't even have social media, not yet on the website. We've got a new live streamer. Carl Enlund is live streaming on YouTube, creator of Fontbob. I'm going to talk about that in a second. There was a great interview with Christian Schwartz on Type.today. Want to look at that. And then obviously we're going to talk about Typographics 2026 day 2 today. And I've got some shout outs to send you, point you in the right direction, or point you to my favorite parts of TypeLab 2026, because there have been 30 or 40 hours worth of TypeLabs, and the videos are going to disappear. So I'm going to show you some of my favorites, but definitely go skip around those no matter what. Another conference coming up. I'll get to that in a second as well. And then we got to finish up our new releases from the week. We've got 8 more new releases. Font Club Belgica. I previewed these at the end of last episode, but for anybody that didn't watch, Font Club Belgica, Mostardesign Type Foundry, APK Type Foundry has 2 new releases. Fontfabric, Cape Arcona, Brandon Nickerson, and Out of the Dark. The Brandon Nickerson typeface is going to be free. Stick around for that, or go look in the description. Out of the Dark is a color font. We've got a lot of really, really great typography today to get into. So let's not waste any more time. I'm going to switch my screen. Let me get my stuff organized for 1 second. I'm going to switch my screen, and we'll get into this. Hopefully this will be kind of a shorter episode, just like yesterday's was. I do think these shorter episodes are nice. This is what happens. The video is blocked by NBC Universal. I really hope that they get it sorted out. This is not one that I have already downloaded, because the stream literally just ended less than an hour ago. But let's go ahead and move on to the first story of the day, and that is Glyphs 4 was announced at TypeLab. Which was this? TypeLab America's day 2. So this was 2 days ago. Day 2. Day 3 is going to be tomorrow. Those are linked in the description. The channels are linked in the description, so don't miss those tomorrow. TypeLab. State of Glyphs, Rainer came out here, and he was going to pretend to talk about 3.5, and then I guess the news had leaked a little bit during TypeLab, and people knew that Glyphs 4 was coming. So this was his presentation. He's going through all of the updates and all the features, and I don't use Glyphs. As you can see, I'm on Windows, so I've never used this app, but I do know, just from researching and looking at the font metadata, Glyphs is what everybody uses. There are few exceptions when I look at the metadata and it's not Glyphs. That said, everything you could want to know about the update is here. The one thing I will point out, just in case you don't watch this and you're like on the fence about getting Glyphs, Glyphs 4.0 is going to cost, it's going to go up $20. So right now it's $2.99. It's going to go up to $3.19. If you bought it, you'll have to check the dates to be sure, but if you bought it in February 2026 or until now, you get the upgrade for free. So anybody that bought it in March is going to get Glyphs 4 for free. You get a free upgrade. But the thing that he pointed out is there's a little bit of a hack here, because you could buy it right now, get Glyphs 3.5 or Glyphs 3. And then when Glyphs 4 releases in July next month, you will be able to get the upgrade for $20 less. So $20 is still $20. Go buy a book, go buy a typography book with the extra $20 you're going to save, or a new typeface. You know, maybe you can only get one style, but some of these are more affordable. So that is in the description as well. TypeLab America's Day 2. I did have to kind of do a weird way. I can't link directly to the timestamp because it wasn't working. So I put in there the time, but this is about at 5.5 hours. About 5.5 hours in, you get to the state of Glyphs, and everything from Glyphs 4 is announced right there. Haven't seen it posted anywhere else. I'm sure it's kind of circulating on social media a little bit, but for now, this is going to be the best source for it. Next up, we've got another live streamer. This is Carl. I had a phone call with Carl earlier this year, I guess. Carl Enlund, he is the creator of FontBob, and I saw this posted last night after my live stream ended. I was going to go do some shameless self-promotion on Typo Social after I added my chapters, and look at this. Getting inspired by all the live streams from Jectives and Typographics, decided to try one myself. And he's on there working through some FontBob, working through a typeface. He's just got a couple streams here. Carl stream yesterday and today, so back-to-back streams from him. Looks like he went 4 hours today. I hopped in and watched for a little bit. It's cool to see the creator of the app work in the app. So if you don't know, FontBob is an in-browser font editor. And it works in any browser. You can do it on your phone. When I had my phone call with him, we were sitting playing around with it on the phone. So check out FontBob. If you want to see the creator, design a typeface in the app, check out Carl. He's just started live streaming. He does have some other videos on here as well. But the live streams are pretty cool. It's pretty passive. You can hop in and see him doing his thing, and you can kind of be doing something else at the same time. So the last featured story here before we get to events is going to be an interview. Gonna get a drink of water. Sorry for the white screen. Pax says, honestly, that was very cool to not raise the prices like crazy because of inflation. So he's talking about, or Pax, I don't know if you're pronouns here. Yeah, Glyphs. He did talk about the inflation and how much it would have costed and how much it would have cost. And per inflation, he could have raised the price like 70%, but he raised it $20. So really cool. I agree, Pax. So the third story here is just a link to an article. This is Christian Schwartz. He was actually a guest curator curator, not necessarily a guest, but he was a curator at Typographics this week for the conference. So it was interesting to see him there, as well as see this interview just get published a couple of days ago on the 24th. So I'm not sure if this was timed on purpose or not, but this was a really good interview. I don't know how to pronounce Ilya Ruderman. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he does excellent interviews. We saw one recently with the Sam. Oh gosh, I forget the name. I apologize. The Designers Foundry, not Designer Foundry, the Type Founders interview recently that I mentioned. That was Sam Berlow. Interview with Sam Berlow. Anyway, this one with Christian Schwartz is equally good, and they go back and talk about the last 10 years of typography, and I'm just going to slow scroll through this right now, but It's a really interesting conversation, and I learned a lot about both of these two individuals that I didn't know about. And it's interesting to see, industry veterans talking about their perspectives on the industry and things like that. One of the things that I caught from there, so I'm looking over here, I'm looking at my notes, but one of the things that I saw on here that I thought was interesting was the conversation about Google Fonts. And I had never thought about Google Fonts in the sense of Google Docs. For me, Google Fonts, you can always just download it, use it however you want. Like, it doesn't really matter that Google has these things. But when you use Google Docs, this is something Christian pointed out, when you use Google Docs, and a lot of businesses have transitioned to it, there's no way to use other fonts in Google Docs. You use Google Fonts in Google Docs. So that was an interesting thing that I hadn't thought about. And it is this little sort of walled garden that you're getting closed into. And it's an interesting position because, as they pointed this out in the interview, if your company uses, or your brand uses, Google Docs, and you have a different font that's not a Google font, it makes it very difficult because you've got to pick two different fonts, or you've just got to go with a Google font, which is not ideal. That was an interesting thing. There was a lot of interesting conversations in here, but I won't spoil too much more of it. That's a good one. It's linked in the description. Go check that out. Let's talk about day 2 of Typographics. I was going to link to this and show you what was going on. Video still unavailable. Let's see if it pops up. It's still gone. Let's just go ahead and go to their screen right here. I'll be quick on this. Let me give you some takeaways. Let me sit on, I don't know what to sit on. Maybe I should just put my face cam on for 2 minutes. And then I'll put this in front of me so I can actually read it, and you guys can pretend that I'm looking at you. My takeaways from this, one, there were a lot of good speakers. I still kind of enjoyed the TypeLab stuff a little bit more, and I'm going to give some shout outs to that. But there really was a really good variety of speakers at Typographics this year. I would encourage, if you didn't watch any of it yet, go through, watch day 1. Hopefully day 2 shows up. But if you're going to watch any of them, hopefully we can watch Emily Oberman's again. I would rewatch it if it's possible. But yeah, there was a great variety of speakers. There were speakers that were very hands-on, like sign painting type speakers. There were speakers that were, AI prompting, super vibe coding stuff. There was a big stretch of things. But some of my takeaways from this year were break the rules. This is something you learn in school, but it's something that also just kind of, you need to be reminded sometimes. There was one of the speakers, and I apologize, I don't remember who it was. Actually, I could look in 2 seconds. It was Burton Haseby. He was the second speaker today. He took Times New Roman and added a stroke to it, and it made it softer, and he enjoyed that. And then he ended up turning it into 3 different typefaces throughout his career. I don't know, just putting a stroke on a typeface is one of the things you learn not to do in your Type 101 class. Don't put a stroke on it. But he did, and it was cool, and it turned into multiple projects that he was able to use this on, and it just adding the softness to Times New Roman really worked out well. Reuse ideas, iterate. This is something that 2 different speakers, and I apologize, I don't really remember who they were, or I don't want to mispronounce their names. Reuse ideas is something that I kind of avoid as well, where it's just oh, I use this for this branding, or I use this on this project. I got to do something different now. And if somebody comes to you and they're like, oh, I saw what you did here, can you do that for us? I've always been no, let's do something new for you. But there were some really successful examples of people reusing ideas and then iterating on those. In yesterday's talk, I don't really want to mess up my screen too much. In yesterday's talk is when I first saw this. But reuse ideas and then iterate on them. It's kind of like the break the rules thing. Again, just something that maybe to be reminded of. Third, there's so much more below the surface of a type design. I was watching some of these people speak about the typefaces that they had designed, and just thinking about the depth that goes into it before pencil ever meets paper, or before we see the final product. And it's super easy for me to review a typeface in 5 minutes on here in Typography News, because I'm doing it based on the visuals and maybe a little bit of backstory, but there are years of work that go into it. And it's just something for, I think, all of us to remember in terms of any of this stuff. Obviously, the visuals have to work. The font has to like be engineered well. All these things do have to work. It has to be legible, blah, blah, blah. But I think if we take in the full context, maybe we'd have a better appreciation for it. Kati mentioned, one of the speakers today that unfortunately we can't watch right now, said, my ideas get better when I make. And this is something that I thought about that really resonated with me, is just like the times that I've been the most creative and the most successfully creative in my career were times that I was like making, just like making things. It's like you build this momentum, or you build this, momentum, I guess is the right word. You build this momentum where you're just kind of going. And because you're always going, your brain just gets more creative somehow. Even when you're struggling to get something done, even if you're doing like a 30-day challenge or something where you're trying to do something every day, like you end up putting out stuff that you'll look back at in 2, 3, 5, 10 years. And you'll be like, oh shit, I made that. Like, I don't know how many times I've looked back at my old Instagram before I deactivated it, where I just saw stuff and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I made that. Like, I feel like a little bit insecure that like that person was better at designing than I was. I think don't let yourself stagnate. Keep making things, even if you have to reuse ideas, iterate, break the rules, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me finish on the last two things here. I thought that it was really interesting that a lot of type designers and stuff, I've seen this over the last year and a half of reporting the news, like a lot of people are making their own tools to design typefaces. But we saw speakers today, with AI, people are able to like vibe code tools and things like this. And I don't know that that's something that I'll do, at least in the short term, but it is interesting to see other people doing it and having success doing it. I think what it more inspired me to do was take like a second look at Cavalry. That's a small step for me. But to try out some tools that I hadn't used before, just because it's easy to also use the tools that you're already using, you're already good at, and why bother learning something else? Because I already know how to do this well enough. And I think that the same way like making things makes you more creative, learning new tools, it just gives you more things to draw from. Lots of times when I talk about design education, I say you don't know what you don't know. And the tools that you don't know how to use are just this thing over here waiting for you to draw from. And so whether that's creating your own with Claude Code or something, or whether that's just using a tool that you hadn't used before, Cavalry's free now. Affinity is free now. There are lots of good open source tools that you can play around with. So we'll stop there. Let's go ahead and open up some stuff that we can actually look at. And I'll take my face off the screen in 1 second. I've got some TypeLab notes here. And let's start pulling up some of these. How do I want to do this? Let's go ahead and do it like this. I'm going to show you just a few shout outs of TypeLab things that stood out to me. I'm going to hit on some of these because there were the Glyphs thing. We've already saw this one. Obviously, this is a highlight for a lot of people. And then there are some typeface releases that were also talked about during TypeLabs. I'll get to those when I get to those. But these are just some of the ones that made me feel like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot. And this is my top 5, so I did have to cut out some of the other ones. Day 1, Europe. Let's go ahead and try and get Europe on here. I apologize. What would be the easiest way to do this? Probably to link in my own description, but I don't know how to do that. Let me see. Like I said, this has been... We can do it like this. Okay, this has been a very long and full week. TypeLab Europe, day 1. We're going to start with day 1. I'm going to give a few shout outs here. Day 1, Celine Herka, ornamental type. This is at about 3 hours and 55 minutes. So I'll go ahead and go a little bit further than that. There she is right there. There's Peter Van Blockland introducing her, but there she is. Celine Herka. Hopefully I'm not covering her. Nope. I was familiar with her ornamental type designs and these different things, but she really presented a case. She kind of walked through like her relationship with this and stuff like that. But I think she made a very good case for type designers to go ahead and try out making some ornamental type. And she gives like a breakdown here of the revenue that she's generated from these. And ornamental type that she had made actually surpassed some of the more neutral geometric sans serifs and things like that that she had created. So I think it does just kind of open. I think she presents a very good case for exploring ornamental type and ornamental type design. And if you're not a type designer, I'm not a type designer, graphic designers, we could use this kind of stuff and, not necessarily be so afraid of it and using things that are always neutral and, without character and stuff. So this one's really good. That was Europe, day one, Celine Herka, ornamental type, about 3 hours and 55 minutes in. I apologize, I can't give better timestamps, but that's that. Next up is America's day one. Let's go back to America's. This is America's day two. Let me go ahead and give you day one on here. And I've only linked the channels in here. I linked to the live pages right here so you can see on the screen. Day one, day two, day three is tomorrow. One person's waiting for it. They're going to be waiting for a while. Day three comes tomorrow. Let me go to day one right here. And day one at about 1 hour and 30 minutes is going to be Alexandra, also known as Sasha, Ivanova. And I was not previously familiar with her, but I really enjoyed this presentation. I think this is my favorite TypeLab one in terms of pure presentation. And it was about Soviet lettering on packaging. And it's something that I never would have thought to explore. It's not something, if I saw an advertisement for this and it was like, hey, you want to learn about Soviet lettering on packaging? I'd be like, maybe. What else? What are my other options? But man, these are super cool. And the history that she describes and, her relationship with these things, it was really cool to watch. And she was, I don't know, it was just like a fun person to listen to talk about these things. Sometimes, even if you're not interested in a topic, seeing someone talk about it with enthusiasm and you feel their passion about it, it makes you enjoy it, even if it's something you'll never explore in your life. This, though, is really cool. I think that if you're going to watch one of the type labs and you're not a type designer that's going to get into glyphs or something, you don't want to make ornamental type designs, this is the one that I'd go watch. Graphic designers, go watch this one. It's really cool. I really enjoyed this one. So shout out to Alexandra on that one. I've got 3 more. Wow. Okay. I'm going to go as fast as I can through these. I apologize. So these last 3 are all going to be coming from day 2 of Americas. And that's what we're on right here with the glyphs. So Onji Studio, it's been a while. Yeah, it has been a while. Good to see you back. So day 2, this one's right at the start here. This one was by Raven Mo. There she is right there. She talked about chop suey fonts, and I had never heard them called chop suey before. She had a couple of other names for them. And I'm not sure what, I think fortune cookie. I don't remember. I can't think of what, maybe chop suey is something I've heard, but anyway, so this is the paradox of chop suey font economics with Raven Mo. And she talks about, we've all seen these fake Chinese Latin letters before. I walked by a restaurant today that had these, and I'm in Brazil. I'm an American living in Brazil, and I saw these on the outside of a building today on my walk to the grocery store. So I'm sure that you've seen this kind of typography before, but she traces it back to, propaganda and these different things. And, chop suey fonts, much like chop suey, the meal, the dish, is American in origins. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of skipping through. I'm trying to get some good screenshots without actually playing it. But this was a fun one to watch. And it's interesting to see her trace this through old specimen books and the history of this as well. Once again, history, her relationship with it. It's fun to see someone talk about something they're passionate about. And it's another one that I would, chop suey fonts. Okay. Yeah, I've seen these display fonts before. Do I care about them that much? I don't know. But then you see the presentation and it's kind of fun to watch. These last 2 are not presentations. They were just things that made me really appreciate the fact that this was live and made me want to go attend this next year. And I said this yesterday, but my my goal next year is to attend as many of these events as a news reporter, as a journalist as possible. And I definitely hope to be in New York for this one next year. Let me go ahead and skip to this. So this first one that I thought was really fun, there's not going to be a ton to show here, is the typeface speed run hosted by Jen Ramirez of Dual Type and Boyish Type. Here it is right here. You can see Steven Nixon in the background here. He actually designed like a cowboy boot serif typeface. But these guys they're all speed racing or speed running, trying to design a typeface in under 2 hours. And someone did it in like 1 hour and 19 minutes. It's silly, it's fun. And someone does walk around with a camera and kind of show you more of what's going on. But it's just a fun, low-key thing. Another one you can watch in the background. But just a fun thing, you know, to break up, you know, lots of serious conversations about fonts. And the last one here is Type Trivia. This is what they ended it on. This one was hosted by Paulina Baden and Maria Dorilio, founder of Contrast Foundry. Type Trivia with Contrast Foundry. And this is a fun one. This one actually lasted pretty long. And I think this would be a fun one to go back and watch anytime and just kind of like see how many answers you can get right. They did quite a few rounds on here where they just asked typography questions, asked about, you know, what fonts are these? Who's the designer of this? They did one that was like, is this a font name or a pharmaceutical name? It was pretty funny. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on here. But this is another one that just kind of like break up the seriousness and made me wish like that I could have been there this year. But hopefully I'll be there next year. Hopefully maybe I'll meet some of you guys there next year. Yeah, so those are my highlights from TypeLab. There's a ton of good stuff on TypeLab. There's even more to come tomorrow. So if you don't like any of the stuff that I pointed out, just scroll through, like, you know, click through and see if there's something that strikes your fancy. Because there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't for me, but it might be for you. Maybe you don't like anything that I'm talking about right now. But I promise there's something in the TypeLab live streams that you will enjoy. If you, like me, are feeling a little bit of FOMO that you missed out on these, there is another Type conference coming up in August. I also will not be at this. I have a young daughter. You know, she's only 1 year old, and I'm in Brazil right now. I'm not going to be flying to Portland for this one. But if you are able to fly or live in Portland, August 6th through 8th is TypeCon in Portland, Oregon. I'm like 99% sure. Let me make sure that this is in Portland, Oregon. There we go, Portland, Oregon. I think, yeah, they have the speakers announced now, 35 speakers on this one. It says blind tickets available. Those are actually sold out, so they do need to update this. But if you go to register, you can see some pricing and stuff like that. But if we come down, blind tickets, they used to be on there, but now they're right here. They're gone. Sale ended on the blind tickets. So they need to update the website, but you can go through and you can see the speakers and things like that. And oh no, maybe they don't have the speakers yet. So maybe you could still propose. It doesn't look like it though. It looks like submissions should have been in by April 6th. So they're very far behind on updating this website. But if you are interested in a big typography conference, this is the next one that I'm aware of. It's going to be TypeCon in August. Let me know if I'm missing out on one, and I can definitely shout it out in the next episode. But if you were inspired by the stuff you saw from Typographics this week, this might be one that is worth checking out as well. And you got a few months to plan for it. A couple months to plan for it. Yeah. No, like one and a half months to plan for it. Sorry. Okay, let's keep moving here. And let's get into some new releases. So Typographics, go check it out. If the episode comes back, watch Emily Oberman's at the end of day 2. If not, check out any of the other speakers. Most of them were very good. And even the ones that were not for me, I think some of you may enjoy. Speaking of which, this one was actually talked about at TypeLab as well. I'm going to get a drink of water. We'll get a proper introduction on this one. And I need to just fix my screen real quick over here on the left. Sorry. Okay. First new release. Actually like our 9th new release this week, but first one of the day. This is a future font. It's from Font Club Belgica, and it is called FC LED. And in the TypeLab presentation on Europe, day one, 4.5 hours in. Let's see if we can find it super fast. Europe, day one, 4.5 hours on. Oh, we're almost close. Here it is right here. Frederick Berlane, type designer of this one, gives a presentation talking about this. So this would be one that I would talk about and say like, hey, go check this one out. But we're talking about it right now. So I didn't have to put it in my top 5. TypeLab, Europe, day one, at about 4.5 hours in, he's going to talk about this in so much depth and give a background. And it's really cool. Inspired by stained glass, if you can't tell right here. I will spare you my typical future fonts spiel on here. Just know this is a beta in progress and you get all the updates for free, $25 right now. Is this a color font? I think it has to be a color font, right? It's in color. I apologize. I didn't do like full deep dives on these because there's been so much going on this week that these are more or less second impressions of me looking at new releases. But I did watch this presentation and I should be able to tell you that this is color or not, but it is variable. I apologize. It has to be color, right? There's no way that this isn't color. There's no trial on this, but $25, you know, you can get it. You can see some variable features right there. But it's inspired by stained glass. And this one was FC LED from Font Club Belgica. It's available on Future Fonts, $25, and it looks pretty cool. You know, you're going to get what you get. See right there? Okay. I'm going to turn my face off. I forgot that it was on, but I don't want to block anything on the rest of these, so I'll see you at the end. This one from let's see if this one loads. There it is. This one's from Mostardesign Foundry. This one is a very, very big typeface. And I actually read this entire making of Calenze. Oh, I apologize. This is Calenze by Mostar Type Design Foundry. Mostar Design Type Foundry. Calenze by Mostar Design Type Foundry. I always get it wrong. I'm just going to say Mostar Design. This is Calenze. There's an entire font family. And I really, really enjoyed this backstory on this one. You know, I love a purpose-built font and I love a font with a good story. And this one was inspired by the street signs. These, they weren't porcelain. What were they made out of? I apologize. The street signs in Valencia. What were these made out of? Dang it. I apologize. I can't think of what material it was. Ceramic, blue ceramic plaques. So Olivier was going through and seeing all of these different plaques, and he was taken by them, taking pictures of them. And I'm not going to spoil the entire story for you. You can go look at it. But the interesting thing was that they were cohesive in some way, but they were very, very different. And these were made in the early 1900s. And the way that they were solving legibility or fitting things on there was by compressing the typefaces. And you could see they're doing some really interesting stuff with the E here that's not done there, and there's different R's, and there's different all kinds of things. So he goes through this whole process of like how to put this together with all of these fragments, and some characters don't even have letters. You can see the K, you can see the W, they don't even exist. Pulling together all these pieces and deciding which ones to use, which ones not to use. You can see some sketching, some proofs right here. And here it is. There's normal, condensed, and compressed weights for this one. So let's go ahead and scroll through the web page real quick. Once again, not a deep dive, just kind of looking at it here. There is a poster style as well. So some of those really funky glyphs ended up getting put into the poster style. I'm not sure how well that's going to read right there, but you can see that E has the diamond on it for the crossbar. I would encourage you to go read the blog entry, the article, the essay, whatever it's called. I would encourage you to go read that because it really does a good job selling you on this typeface, because just seeing it like this, it's kind of like, okay, that's cool. But like I was talking about when I was watching Typographics today, there's just so much more below the surface of these typefaces. And let me actually put my face kind of back on here for 1 second. I'm going to show you the specimen real quick. 50-page PDF specimen on here. And let me do kind of like put my face on here, and we'll do kind of like a big Curtis over here so I can kind of show you some stuff. Let's do that. Okay, that's fine. So I'm pointing this out because there is a PDF specimen on here that's really cool, and this is for Calenze. You can go through, and it tells the entire story that's in the blog article as well. Really cool, really well designed. I did check the shop. This one's not for sale yet, but I just wanted to point out, if you do like this, I have a bunch of the Mostardesign Type Foundry specimens in print. And I can tell you 100%, these are very high quality. So this is not like a sales pitch or anything. I just wanted to let you know, I haven't had like a good opportunity to talk about these, but I did get these earlier, maybe it was last year, but I'm not necessarily shocked, but like I was very impressed, I should say, with how high quality these specimen books are. So I've got Sophia Pro, I've got Perisco here, Perisco. There are some other ones that are like smaller, some other type specimens and stuff like that. But all of these are really fun. And this one here from Calenze is 50 pages, so it's probably something more like Perisco here. Probably something more like this that's about that thick. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out the specimens because I have not had a good opportunity to look at them, but they're really, really nicely well done. Even look at this. Look at the UV shine on this one. See if we can get some lights on that. Look at that shine. There it is. Yeah, these are really cool, and I was really impressed with these. So shout out to Mostardesign, Mostardesign Type Foundry, Olivier. Sent me these last year, and I enjoyed them, and I haven't really had a good chance to like talk about them. So I wanted to do that now since there's a new type specimen that's on here, and if it does end up going for sale or something like that, then I think it would be a cool one to check out. So let me go back to this. Oh, my face is still really big on here. There we go. So this was Calenze from Mostardesign Type Foundry. This is one I could see doing a deep dive on in the future. Let me know if there's any of these today that you want to see deep dives on, because we're really, really, really skimming the surface here, scratching the surface here on these. If there's ones that you want to see deep dives on, let me know. I've got some favorites in mind. If there's something that you really want to see more of and you want to see like the full font in Affinity and see me dig through all the alternatives and stuff, let me know. But this was Calenze from Mostardesign Type Foundry. We've got a lot more to get through. We've got 6 more new releases here. We've got 2 of them from APK Type, so I'm going to go ahead and show you these one at a time because they're very different. This third new release and the first one from APK, this Type Foundry, is Avionica. I'm not sure which way to say it. Avionica. This one does have a trial, but I do believe that it's limited trial. But this one's pretty interesting. It's almost like folded paper or something. I don't even know that I read the backstory on this one. I think I just kind of drooled over the typeface and then got back to TypeLabs and got back to the Typographics 2026. But there's some really cool stuff going on here. Looks like it's got some alternates. That's always nice to see. What's it say? It says APK Avionica is a retro futuristic display typeface with a monospace feel. Only a monospace feel though, right? Because yeah, these letters in here aren't fully monospaced. It does look good in body copy though. I mean, you've got a lot of contrast where those pinches are. Let's go back here. Where these things are like really, really pinching at the joints. You're going to have quite a bit of contrast, but that looks much better at small to medium sizes than I expected it to. And I think you could get away with some small bodies of text. Once again, wouldn't set a book in this or anything, but I think you could get away with some small stuff and definitely some labels and stuff like this. We've talked about this so many times recently, but like interfacing like this, I think would work really well, where you're just kind of reading a few things, designer, name, manufacturer, that works really well. So Avionica, let's scroll down real quick and we'll see what they've got going on. It looks like, no, I don't think this one's variable, but we can scroll through this just a little bit. Yeah, looks pretty cool. Let's look at the other one from APK. This one's going to be called Stockholm. So the fourth new release and the second one from APK Type Foundry is called Stockholm. APK Stockholm, and it looks much more similar to what we would expect. Avionica here is doing some really wild stuff. Stockholm is feeling much more, much more. How would you say this? Not necessarily neutral, because I do feel like this has a lot of character, but it's a sans serif. We've all seen sans serif before, so it's a sans serif, kind of geometric. Let's see how they describe this. APK Stockholm is a typeface that offers a slightly atypical humanist interpretation of APK, I don't know how to say this word, SVERIGA. Gosh. Let's go ahead and look at this other one. So this is our two-face neo-grotesque type family that was launched in 2024. Let's go ahead and see what this other one looks like, and we'll see if we can see. Oh, they've got a bunch of different ones here. They've got lake, they've got city. Goodness, let's just click on one of them. We'll see if we can see we can see the similarities between these two. So this is the humanist version of this one. This one already feels pretty humanist though, doesn't it? Stockholm, Sveriga? Man, someone who knows how to say this. So it looks like they're taking off the tails of the A's. Yeah, I could see these looking pretty similar. Clearly, I did not do a deep dive on this one. Let's go ahead and close this, and I'll just give you a look at Stockholm. But it does have some relation to that other typeface. And it's supposed to be a slightly atypical humanist. It's probably Sweden in Swedish. Oh, does that mean Sweden, Jim? Interesting. So this one's called Stockholm. That makes sense. Stockholm relating to Sweden. So it says this mid-sized family consists of 4 weights, 8 styles, and it is a variable font. So that's nice to see. But it looks nice. I can't speak too much on it. It looks like it's got a pretty tall X height on it, short ascenders. It's not doing anything we haven't really seen from someone else before. It looks pretty wide. It looks nice though. I don't know. There's not a ton more to say about it. So let's just go ahead and keep moving on. We'll just burn through these today. Ooh, they got some nice specimens down here though. Let's sit and look at these for 1 second. Looks like all 4 weights there, and then I guess you would have the italics on it. I didn't see the italics. Oh, there they are, slanted right there. Yeah, looks cool. I think it's probably one of those ones where if you did your actual deep dive on it, there'd be a lot of neat little things to look at, but we're just looking at these second impressions today, because I did not have time to do much else. Fontfabric. This is a new release from Fontfabric called Rizo. And it is inspired by rizographs, I'm pretty sure, like the Rizo prints. And you can see it's got a reverse contrast on it. Reverse contrast sans serif typeface, 10 styles, and a variable font. Nice. Let me go ahead and read this, and we'll go back up and look at the specimens. It says, Rizo is a contemporary display typeface inspired by the growing trend in graphic design, manually compressing type to create stronger visual impact. This process often includes accidental reverse contrast, sure, where horizontal strokes become heavier than vertical ones. Okay, so maybe it doesn't have to do anything with Rizo prints. Okay, yeah, I can see what they're doing. They're talking about, I saw this last year during Typographics, I think it was, where they were talking about Nike campaign where they compressed the typefaces, once again, breaking the rules and accidentally creating a reverse contrast where the horizontal stress became more evident, and this one is done purposely. That's kind of cool. I mean, yeah, it's probably going to work a lot better than doing this to a font on your own, just squishing a font vertically or horizontally, I guess. Squishing a font from left to right is going to look a lot better than that, because this one's actually designed to look like this. So that's kind of interesting. So we've seen this with some other typefaces recently where people are breaking the rules, and they're doing something you shouldn't necessarily be, that a typeface wasn't designed to do. So the type designers are like, okay, let's just make the best version of this thing that we can. You know, we saw that with Mass Driver's Neo Grotesque, was MDUI, where he designed it to, you know, design the best Neo Grotesque he could to work in user interfaces. And we saw it recently with some semi-mono typefaces where it's like the monospaced fonts were being used for body copy, and they wanted to have that texture but make it actually work a little bit better than a monospaced font does. So we're getting a similar thing here where they're doing this. Oh, they've got it on there. I'm gonna look 1 second. Where they're doing this intentionally, you know, reverse contrast by compressing the typeface. So it looks like 2 weights, 5 widths, and it's variable. Let's look at this asset for Jim. Oh, there it is right there. Look at him, little arms crossed on it. That is pretty clean. I do not know when assets are good or bad. So Jim Girth here is our resident expert on anything German, but particularly these assets, and letting me know when they're good or bad. So I'm glad to see this one looks nice. Good job, Fontfabric. You get a thumbs up from Jim Girth. Let's see if we can play around with this variable. I don't know if you can actually test this out or not. Fontfabric, can we test it? Doesn't look like it. In the past, I have gotten trials from Fontfabric, so I'll have to test this out and see how it works. But you know, it looks pretty moderately priced, $75 for the full family. Not sure if that's a launch deal, but yeah, this is a pretty fun one, and this is definitely a trend that I've seen in recent years, and it looks pretty cool when they're doing this intentionally right here. It almost feels kind of retro or something. Like I can imagine this being on like a printed sign where someone unintentionally, you know, they wanted to fit the font in there, so they squeezed it. Yeah, I'm a fan of this. It's fun. It's fun to see type designers. It's fun to see the interaction between graphic designers and type designers, and you know, seeing graphic designers like do the wrong thing, and then type designers responding to that with their own take on what the graphic designers are doing. So it's fun to see, and there are all 10 styles right there. 2 widths, right? 2 widths and 5 weights. So there's regular and there's condensed. So there they are right there. Looks nice. Another nice one from Fontfabric. They rarely miss. We looked at a little bit of this one yesterday. What are we on right now? The sixth new release is coming from Cape Arcona Type Foundry, and this is CA Spotnik Serif. I was not familiar with Spotnik, so there is actually, whenever I see a name that says like sans or serif at the end of it, I always think, oh, I wonder if there's a pair, and there certainly is. So CA Spotnik Serif is the serif counterpart to CA Spotnik. So we're not going to be looking at this blue one for too long. I just wanted to give it a quick shout out and show you what where this all initiated, and then we're going to look at the serif. I do think that Spotnik looks good, but I think Spotnik Serif looks great. So we're going to focus on the new release here. This is CA Spotnik Serif from Cape Arcona, and Jim is telling me that he likes. We're going to go back for 1 second. Likes that you can clearly see the S right here. So that's one key. I'm learning, guys. But back to CA Spotnik Serif here. It's the counterpart to CA Spotnik, but it looks really nice. Even if I didn't know anything about the sans version, really like this K. You know, I think the variable, not the variable, the italic on this looks nice. It looks like it's got quite a few weights here. What do we got? 5, 6. We've got 6 different weights on it plus italic, so you're going to get 12 total styles. As a family, I think this looks really nice. I think there's a nice delineation. Is that the right word? There's a nice, you can clearly see the difference between each one of these weights. You know, they're not doing 12 different weights where they're, you know, it could really break down to 6. They've just got 6 weights here, and it looks nice. Each one feels distinctly itself, and you know, they all look nice. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. They all look nice. I like this little ear coming out of the top of the G right here. We can see it a little bit better right here on Gast. And there is an alternate for it. There's alternates for all 4 of these characters if you don't like the curve on that or that the ear on top of this G. I love that it's Spotnik, and it is very alien to stick that right up in the middle of it. I think we actually had another font where it kind of seemed like an alien antler before, but I feel like this one's a little bit more intentional. I should reach out to Cape Arcona again when I do the deep dive on this and ask about it. But you can see their alternate A, 2-story, 1-story. That serif's very prominent on that A there, huh? That's nice. And this one's got the curve inside of the S here. So that curve I did notice on Spotnik. So I think that's, going to be very cohesive between the two. If you were using the serif and the sans, having that almost like a reversed spine on the S there, because it's actually, kind of going inclined rather than declined. I think you would have some good consistency between those. Man, yeah, you're seeing quite a few alternates in here. This cursive E is interesting. Yeah, you get the rounded W in there, the leg on the K here. Man, I'm going to have to reach back out to him. I didn't ask for a review license on this. I was more interested in the new license that they had. And then this actually released like the next day after I had that conversation. This one was done by Stefan. So I will have to reach out and see if we can get a review license on this one, because this one is really fun. I try not to play favorites, but Cape Arcona is one of my favorite foundries. Just the stuff they put out is so cool. Yoshiro Pixel, I talked about that last episode. It was one of my favorites. They've got a trial on here, but I do believe this is limited. So you guys could test this out. Go ahead and get the trial on it. Does look like it's on sale until July 8th. So $80 or 80 euros for the full family on this one. That's pretty solid. 80 euros for the full family, and you're getting 12 different styles on this, 6 weights plus italics. That's nice. That's a pretty big deal. And let me just talk about this one more time since we're here. They just put out a new license, and do you see this license right here? You get absolutely everything with the new Cape Arcona 1 license. So this 80 euros for the family isn't just like a desktop license. It's an everything license: print, web, social media, logo, app embedding, hardware embedding, streaming, TV, movies, put it on a server. All you have to do is pick your company size. So if I was picking the smallest size, that's how you're going to get that 80 euro price tag on this one. That's what I always use for the baseline, smallest company size. This is definitely the deal of the week. This might be the deal of the year so far. CA Spotnik Serif from Cape Arcona Type Foundry. Really, really like that one. Hopefully we can get a deep dive on that one. If you guys want that, let me know in the comments or let me know in chat. This next one here is a free font. You can go download this right now. It is Brandon Nickerson's new release, Be-In Queen. And it's got a $50 price tag on there, scratched out. He always used to release these for free, and he didn't stop, but he did encourage you to support $2 to download it at the release window. So you can do it for $2, or there's a free button right here, and that's going to open up a Google Drive where you can go and get this for free. So, take your pick. You could always download it for free and then pay for it later if you're actually going to use it for something, you want to support him. But this is it. It's super high contrast, or not super high contrast. There is some high contrast in there, but it's a very heavy typeface, very display for sure. And you'd have to pick the right project for this, but that's how a lot of Brandon Nickerson typefaces go. He puts out a ton of stuff, puts it out for free. Now he's encouraging you to pay a couple of bucks for it, which is completely understandable, but puts out a ton of stuff, and they're typically display typefaces. We've looked at a lot of them on the channel, and this is another one you can get for free. You can just go grab it right now. Links in the description. Go ahead and click that free button. Go pick it up from Google Drive. You never know when this might work well for you. And it's always nice to just have options. So they're doing some fun stuff with these little teardrop little drips. The descriptions are never very descriptive, so I'm not gonna really bother with that. You just kind of see it, you vibe with it, or you don't. But it's free for now. That madman right there is not part of the font. That's just a combination with another one of his typefaces probably. And there are the glyphs that you're going to get in it. These are not super deep typefaces. They are display typefaces, but it does look like you've got a little bit of language support on there. No asset. Oh, there is an asset. No, that's not an asset. Is that an asset, Jim? Next to the question mark there. I think you might have an asset next to the pound. I'm not sure. But this was Brandon Nickerson's BN Queen. We've got one more new release, and this next one is a color font. So let's go ahead and look at this one from Out of the Dark. This is Monoform from Out of the Dark, new release. And this one doesn't look like a color font right off the bat, does it? This looks like a few other typefaces that we've seen in the last couple of years. Jim says yes. Okay, we got the yes. There you go. We've got an asset in there. Am I saying it right? Asset. Probably not. Monoform here though, from Out of the Dark. This website, not my favorite. But if you click, it goes next. So you can see what's going on. Geometric, working on this grid, very modular. Very characterful, and it's pretty fun. I think when we get to the color stuff is where this one really starts to shine though. I did download this one. I only have a limited trial on it, just going back and forth. I don't know how to get out of this. Scroll back up, I guess. So if you go to the trial, it doesn't work from here. You click on this, it doesn't work. If you go, how did I have to do this? Gosh. This is one of those websites that looks cool until you actually try to use it. I think you have to go over here and do the trial from this part. So if you want to try this, you got to go into that side menu. Let me go ahead and exit so we can show you. Typefaces up there. It's going to pull out the side menu, and then you hit trial fonts from here. I'm just going to show you this because I thought it was pretty fun. In order to do this, like, you have to type your email right here. I'll just go ahead and type mine. I don't care if you guys know what it is. There it is. And then as you go through this, you have to click these to make it say yes. I think this is probably terrible user interface. Someone that's a UI designer, UX designer, let me know. But click the yes here, and then click send me the Monoform trial. Getting a little bit of glitch on here. Then you click this one, and it goes through and it sends it to you. So I don't think that this is the most user-friendly or intuitive by any stretch, but it's a little bit fun. You feel a little bit of satisfaction when you get it figured out. So let me go ahead and show you this in Affinity. This is the only one we're going to show in Affinity today, but I did want to just pull it up because probably not going to do a deep dive on this one unless you guys really want one. Then I'm up for it for sure. S-set. Oh, as in Ritz, S-set. I'm going to practice, Jim. I'll get it. S-set. Okay. So we are looking at Monoform from Out of the Dark in Affinity. They didn't really showcase the color in there, so I'm going to show it to you here. This is the trial. You got 2 color, you got 3 color, and then you've got all these other ones: pattern, grid, solid, display 2 color. So there's 2 color, display 2 color. Let's go ahead and let me go ahead and do this real quick. I don't know why I'm rushing so much. This is the last one we're going to look at, but I don't want to waste too much of your guys' time. So we've got color on top. No, that's display 2 color. We've got 2 color on top, and we've got display 2 color on bottom. So the difference here is the number of lines. So you're getting 4 segments inside of the display. You're getting 3 segments inside of the regular 2 color there. Go ahead and do both of these at once, then we can kind of go. We got 3 color, and then we've got 3 color display. So this one has a little bit of that, we'll call it leading. It's not leading, we'll call it, I'm just thinking of the stained glass that we looked at earlier from FC LED, but let's not take anything away from them. They've got these little grid outlines in here in black on this one, and you're doing the same thing where you're getting 3 for the regular and then 4 segments for the display. And the rest of these, yeah, so there's either display or there's the regular. The regular has 3 segments, the display has 4 segments. Why I wanted to pull this up, let's go ahead and keep these on here, is because the color fonts do work. They show up. You can get the 3 color, you can get the 2 color. Unfortunately, you can't edit these colors though. So I can go in here and I can see that the colors should be able to be changed, but when I change them, they don't actually do anything. So you can still use a tool like DJR's Font Color Customizer. I believe Out of the Dark has their own font color customizer. DJRs works pretty well though, and just based on the website for, for Out of the Dark, as much as this font is cool and I had fun on the website, I would just go use DJRs because it's probably the most straightforward color font customizer that I've seen outside of when they work inside of Affinity, which is always great. Or you could just do the old school thing, you know, set your text and then go in and God help you, change the colors. It's a little bit easier to change the colors in Adobe than it is in Affinity if you were working with just vectors, because they have that color wheel where you can just go in and pick your colors. I miss it so much in Affinity, but Affinity does have custom color fonts when they work. Jim says that my SZ is already a little bit better, so I'm gonna keep practicing. There it is right there. We saw 2 of them today. But this one here was, go ahead and get back to the page. This one here was Monoform from Out of the Dark. And while the website is pretty wild, equally wild as this typeface, I think that the color font could be really cool. This one's got a Crash Dummy vibe to it. I just wish that it worked in Affinity. I think that it has the potential. I think they could tweak it and get the customizing stuff on here. My guess is that they've got SVG colors set, so they're setting the colors, but this does have the color font palette in here. So I think if they just turned off the SGV colors, we should be able to edit this in Affinity. But for now, this is how it looks, and you can always throw it in a color custom font customizer like DJR has. So that's actually it. Okay, we got through pretty quick, guys. Getting my last drink of water here. We'll turn on the face cam. Yeah, so we got through 2 quick episodes today. Got finished before Jim's bedtime twice in a row. So go check out, I'll just pull it up one last time in the background here while I'm talking to you guys. Go check out the typographic stuff. Check out the TypeLab stuff. The TypeLab stuff is going to disappear. So if you want to watch it, go watch it now. Oh, they already took down day 2. So I think they're going to edit day 2. And maybe we won't get to see Emily Oberman's again. Hopefully you guys got to see it during the live stream. It was really, really cool. It was definitely the highlight of the conference. Unfortunately, it got cut. I would hope that, 30 years of working with SNL, I love the hearts in chat. Thank you guys. Such a dumb thing, but I like it so much. Hopefully they'll figure that out. You know, Emily Oberman has worked with SNL and NBC for over 30 years. I think they could cut her some slack and let her use her own work in a presentation, but we'll find out. Yeah, so I will be back next week. We'll get back to the typical routine. Gonna get some deep dives in. I feel like it's been so long since I've done a deep dive. There's just been so many new releases. I think what I'm gonna do, thank you for the chat. Thank you for the hearts in chat. I think what I'm gonna do is start doing shorter new releases so that I have more time for deep dives. Maybe we'll only do 1 deep dive a week or something like that. But, I want to get back into deep dives. I think they're really fun. And I think it gives a little bit more than just, anybody can go look at new releases online. Like you guys can all go look at these. I'm trying to give you something a little bit more. And having access to the review license is something that I don't want to take for granted. And if I have access to those, I want to share them with you guys and let you really see what the fonts look like and what they can do and what maybe breaks when we look at them, because we've had a few things break before. So I'm going to practice my German SZ over the week, and we'll look at some more of those next week. But yeah, I will be back next Friday. We'll get back to the normal schedule, new releases, all that stuff. Go check out everything that I mentioned. Hopefully the Emily Oberman presentation comes back. I'll see you guys Friday. I was Curtis Simpson. I'm going to try to find the button. There it is. I was Curtis Simpson. This was Objectives Typography News number 60. We made it to 60, guys. I'll see you Friday. Bye.